Creamy, cheesy, peppery. What's not to love? I'm a little bit lightheaded. Yeah. I had a cocktail. Thought it was hot outside. I'll have a little cocktail. I'm affected. So the best thing to do is just have another one. Well, I'm not going to have a cocktail. I'm going to have one of these. A Devon Orchard cider with raspberry. Very nice actually, very refreshing because it's bloody hot outside. But let's talk about today's recipe. In fact, it's so simple, it's barely a recipe at all. It uses only 4 ingredients, and that includes salt and pepper. We've got spaghetti, which is probably in your cupboards anyway. So for many of you watching, you're probably only going to have to go out and buy the pecorino cheese. But before we dive into it, please do the usual thing. Like, share, subscribe. See, affected. Like, share, subscribe. Share this to your friends and family. Of course, the people in need as well. It's nice and cheap, easy to make, and it's filling, and it's bloody well tasty as well. So come on then, get your face down here. We'll have a look at the ingredients and we'll make a cacio e pepe. Quick hello from Mugs. Say hello to your fans. Some people were asking about you last week. They're like, where are you? You're still here. Got a new home to go to soon, bud. Now, as I said, cacio e pepe uses 4 ingredients. It's a very, very simple dish. It's an Italian dish from Rome, and much like its bigger cousin, the carbonara, it comes from a way of cooking called cucina povera, which roughly translates to poor kitchen. It's a very frugal dish, but it tastes bloody amazing, I promise. I've got some spaghetti. You can use any pasta you like, but something like a bucatini, linguine, spaghetti, it's gonna work just fine. Whole black peppercorns, there's a reason for that, which I'll explain in a minute. Don't use pre-ground peppercorns for this, you want the whole ones. Bit of salt, and of course we're going to use pecorino cheese. Now I understand that pecorino cheese is not as accessible as parmesan, particularly here in the UK, but if you can get it, please use pecorino, it's the business. Now the first thing we need to do is grind up our peppercorns. I'm using a pestle and mortar. You can use a pepper mill if you want. This is just going to be easier because we're going to use a lot of pepper. If you're there with a flipping pepper mill, you're going to be there for a long time, aren't you? Just put in like a good couple of teaspoons in there and literally just bash them up nice and roughly, or throw them all over your kitchen, Adam. And the reason we're using whole peppercorns as opposed to already pre-ground, because you want that nice, fresh, hot pepper flavour in your cacio e pepe. If you were to use already ground pepper, the flavour's going to be muted and just not as good. Something a little bit like that. Looks like the inside of an ashtray. What you can do as well is if you haven't got a pestle and mortar or a pepper mill, you can take your peppercorns, you can put them on the chopping board and then just use the base of a heavy pan, just kind of crush them, you're going to get the same result. So once that's done, I'm going to get my water on for the pasta. Here we go, look. Same old, isn't it? Definitely not going to miss this cooker, am I? We're going to add some salt. Usually I'd be quite generous, but I'm not going to be generous this time because although we want some of the saltiness to go into the pasta, pecorino is quite salty anyway. So I'm going to be a bit more restrained on that. And we'll leave the water to come to the boil. And I need to weigh out my spaghetti. So get this open. That didn't work, did it? There we go. And you want about 300 grams. If we can drop in that all over the floor. Oh God, that's 280. Bit more. Oh fuck. Oh, I've spilt the pasta all over the floor. Let's see if we can do the same with the cheese, eh? Right, pecorino. I want about 150 grams of pecorino. So let's try with that. So what does that give us? 78. 164, close enough. You've got a little bit there as well to kind of nibble on. Or, you know, you can grate that up as well, add for garnish. So what I'm going to do now is grate the pecorino into a little bowl. If you haven't got a microplane like I've got, you can use like a normal cheese grater, but use like the side bit, the fine coarse grate inside. Use a food processor if you've got one with a grating attachment. But listen, I'm going to be here a while, aren't I, grating this, so I'll be right back. So once your pecorino there is nicely grated, we're going to leave that to one side. But look at that, lovely cloud of wonderful cheese. Okay, we'll leave that to one side. But over here, I've got my nice big pan. Use any kind of pan you like, nice big frying pan, chef's pan, saute pan, whatever you got. I'm going to get it onto a sort of lowish heat and I'll add a couple of teaspoons of our black pepper, because this is what cacio e pepe means, it's cheese and pepper, so you want to really taste the pepper. But go for about a teaspoon per person, and this is enough for 2 hungry adults, so 2 teaspoons should be enough. And keep it on a low heat. You want to lightly toast the pepper. Be careful not to burn it, because if you burn it, it's going to taste acrid and not very nice at all. And this is where the skill comes in. You've got to watch what you're doing. You can't just kind of abandon it, go off and do something else. You just got to, oh shit. You have to lovingly tend to your cacio e pepe. But just kind of lightly toast it and it'll start to smell nice and fragrant. It's only going to take like a minute or two, not very long at all. And whilst that's toasting, we can go in with our pasta and give your pepper a sniff. Lovely. It's starting to smell nice and fragrant, so you can shut that off, turn off the heat. Now your spaghetti, you want to cook it until it's almost done. I'd say like packet instructions, but it can really vary. So again, you're going to have to use your noggin a bit. So you want to cook it till it's about a minute or two away from being al dente, to perfectly cooked. So we're going to finish it off in the pan. And the only real way you're going to test that is if you taste it. So as it's cooking along, give it a bit of a test. Go with your cook's intuition. If you think, oh, that's probably about a minute or two away, you know it's ready to go in the pan. But that's got ages yet, so I'll see you in a bit. Right, so the pasta is pretty much there. Again, it needs about a minute or two to finish off. Straight into that pan with the pepper. There's no heat in that at the moment. Your pasta water, for goodness sake, don't throw that away. It's a crucial ingredient in our cacio e pepe. So what we're going to do now is make the cream. And it's really easy to do. Just take some of your pasta water. Start with like a ladle full. Into the cheese. And just start to mix it around. We don't want it like runny and liquidy. We want to make like a paste. Sort of like that, look. Sort of like a really thick porridge consistency. Now with the pasta that we've got in the pan, again, we're going to add some more pasta water. And you want just enough for it to almost cover it completely. Get it back onto the heat. Keep it moving, because that movement is going to start agitating the starch, which will help give it its creaminess. Now, after about a minute, most of that water should be evaporated. Probably about a tablespoon left in there. Add your pecorino paste, your slurry. And I've kept the pasta water again because we might need some to loosen it a bit. So don't throw it away. Mix that all in. Give it a good old shufty about. And what should happen is as that pecorino melts, it will form like the cream. I'm going to add a little bit more pasta water. Just a tiny bit. And I'm not expecting you to do this, but give it a good old slosh about. Whee! Get it all over your kitchen floor. And you've got to serve this up like straight away. It can't be sat around sort of waiting. Into a nice bowl. If you've got the odd lump or two in there, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You know, we're not Michelin-starred chefs, are we? We're just trying to make some nice food. Garnish with a bit of extra pepper. Cacio e pepe, done. Really simple little recipe. Creamy, cheesy, peppery. What's not to love? Didn't need any salt either, because there's plenty of saltiness in that pecorino. If you want to add a bit more salt, go ahead. And you saw how easy it was. It was like 4 ingredients, 3 of which you're probably going to have in your cupboard anyway. So go out, buy a chunk of pecorino cheese, and you can have a fantastic meal in a few minutes. But there we go, a really simple, cheap, delicious cacio e pepe. Really simple to make. If you enjoyed the video, stick a like on it, share it to your friends and family, people in need as well, because it's a really simple little recipe to put together. Oh, I forgot to show you as well. I got a nice moving in present when I moved to my new flat from my manager, Jenny. She's made me some preserved lemons. But they've got a long way to go yet, but they're going to sit in my kitchen in my new flat. So there we go. Thanks, Jen. Loves you. Listen, I'm going to shoot off. Thanks again for watching. I'll see your gorgeous faces next time. And well, this video, you all right, mate? This video and the next one will be the last ones in this building. So, end of an era really, isn't it? But listen, I'll shut up now. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Come on, mate. Come on.